What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video. Today we're going to be reacting. We're going to do a reaction. Thanks to Kamai. Kamai Shadow is the one that sent me this. And this one is a channel called Decoy Voice. And it's called Rogan Guest Found with Body Parts in His Freezer. Right? And I guess, is this his name? Sheldon Johnson, I guess. We'll figure it out right now. But it's an interesting video. But I feel like the tone of the guy Decoy Voice, I don't know what his name is. Let's just react to what he has to say and what we're hearing.
Sheldon Johnson recently went on the Joe Rogan podcast as an ex-con and criminal justice advocate.
And when I saw him, he had a bunch.
An ex-con and a community activist, is that what he said? Let me make sure we got
Sheldon
it right.
Johnson recently went on the Joe Rogan podcast as an ex-con and criminal justice advocate.
And when I saw him, he had a bunch of jewelry on. He was with his girlfriend. She had a bunch of jewelry on. And I said, hey, man, where's my money at? So I robbed him. And his girlfriend happened to be there. And I had a bunch of young guys with me. And they robbed her as well. Another guy that I ran into, he also owed me some money.
Did he get physically hurt?
No. He didn't get touched. Got roughed up a little bit, but
he didn't get touched. Hold on, what? He didn't get touched, but he got roughed up a little bit.
Another guy that I ran into, he also owed me some money.
Did he get physically hurt?
No. He didn't get touched. Got roughed up a little bit, but
just 33 days later,
A disturbing discovery in the Bronx where police found a dismembered body in an apartment.
where the New York Times reports Johnson as a youth worker that was just charged with murder. As in a Bronx apartment, 2 shots were heard. A man shouted, "Please don't, I have a family." 2 more shots were heard, and then allegedly Johnson was seen leaving the apartment with cleaning supplies, a blue bin, and then even a blonde wig. But when the cops arrived,
What a shame. When patrol officers arrived at the apartment on Summit Avenue near the corner of West 162nd Street, they knocked on Mr. Small's door and Mr. Johnson opened it. He opened the door. Like, why would he open the door? What did he think that the blonde wig was? I mean, this isn't a laughing matter, but the world's dumbest criminals. Remember that show, The World's Dumbest Criminals?
they knocked on the victim's door and Johnson answered. The detectives then got a search warrant for his apartment and found the victim's torso and feet inside the bin with his legs, arms, and head in the freezer, as apparently his previous case and long incarceration had public efforts to grant him clemency with a fundraising page describing him as a community leader, creative writer, and a thespian. Now that fundraiser linked appears to be gone now, but it always amazes me how badly some people will bend over backwards to defend known criminals, conveniently omitting the fact that they weren't arrested for just sitting at home creative writing and thespianing.
This is the part. What that dude did was fucked up. He's gonna suffer the consequences. He will never get out again. But this right here, people bending over backwards. Let's use his words again.
It amazes me how badly some people will bend over backwards to defend known criminals, conveniently omitting the fact that they weren't arrested for just sitting at home creative writing and thespianing.
So, according to this guy right here, there's no redemption story. If you've committed a crime, there's zero help for you, and there should be zero help for you. Hopefully this individual right here is perfect. He has to be, right? He has to be perfect and knows no one in his family that has committed a crime and redeemed himself or themselves. You know, people get in my comment section and they like to be judgmental. And I always remind them, hey, remember that you're going to be judged with the harshness that you judge others. So Good job so far, baseball hat backwards guy. You look pretty cool.
They were incarcerated for several decades over horrendous crimes committed that they were actually convicted of. Now,
so was I. I was convicted of, I was found guilty of second-degree murder, and I think it was 5 assaults with a deadly weapon. Also found guilty of a gang enhancement. I was a dick. I deserved prison. And prison made me the man that I am now, and I think I'm very successful in life. I know that I'm happy. I know that I'm peaceful. I know that I try to be an example for others. When people see somebody like me inked up, bald-headed, with my history, I even engage people and tell them my history. And I want to change people's minds. You've never been there. Your judgment is based off of what? You know, I trip out on people who have never been through something but speak on it. I can't do that. If I do, I'm going to say I don't know nothing about it, and I'm not going to have the judgment this person has. But let's see what else he has to say.
Now, do I think our criminal justice system has issues that must be addressed? Of course it does. But I'm just sick of progressives simping over felons just because after they're convicted and incarcerated, then they feel remorse. As the man that brought him on Joe's show is so...
So this is a thing where people trip out with me. I'm a conservative. I'm a conservative. And anybody that's watched my channel, or most who have watched my channel, they know that. So when you're talking about progressives, I'm not a progressive, right? I'm not a liberal, but I know the old saying, judge a, what is it? Judge a nation by the way they treat their prisoners, right? So what do you expect? Decoy voice guy, hat backwards guy. What do you suggest? Do you suggest that people be thrown in prison and just punished? Because 80% of the people that go to prison return within 10 years, return back to the community. So you would prefer that they be treated like shit in there, treated like animals, and then you want to be surprised if they get out and they act like animals because they were treated like animals? I think people should be given an opportunity to program, to better themselves, to figure themselves out. And those programs are not a waste of money. Those ideas, those efforts are worthwhile. Is it going to work 90% of the time, 99% of the time? Probably not. But if it can work 70 or 80% of the time, we've done some great shit. We've stopped a whole lot of violence. And through time, treating people like that, those numbers would go up. You would think, right? But I don't know what you think needs to be done when people are going to be reentering society within 10 years of their initial incarceration. You know, it's easy to say what you don't like. But how about you make a video with solutions? Try to answer some of the problems. You have a pretty big platform. A lot of people are hearing what you got to say, but you ain't really saying nothing.
Proud to platform him.
Is it that all people of color get disparate sentences? Oh, absolutely. That's why I thought that this is an important conversation to have, and getting to know Sheldon, just thought he has a remarkable story to tell and a perspective on his circumstances, the system, and he's someone that's taken responsibility for what he did, and I think is a living example of what can happen if we think long and hard about if someone's life is worth just throwing away and putting behind bars so that they can rot in a dank cell, because he would have been 70 years old when he got out, way past his life expectancy.
Even though a lot of his statements were awfully contradictory.
And
The rules of the prison or the rules of the streets?
gang. The rules of the street. So I was a rule guy, and they just, you know, it was to their advantage to get me out of the way. There was a lot of infighting, sets against sets, and I was just always against that.
as it's now believed the guy he shot and chopped up was over a prison beef between different sets of Bloods. But this isn't the only convict this guy has brought on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast. And I don't have to agree with everything this guy does, but it doesn't mean we have to ignore how he pretty much enabled another murder, all in the name of his progressive ideologies.
How do you enable him? I'm curious. So he got him on Joe Rogan's platform, and apparently you have a problem with ex-cons going on Joe Rogan's platform. But let's go back for a second, and I want to look at something. So let's go back a little further, and I want you guys to pay attention to something. Hold on.
Beef between different sets of Bloods, but this isn't.
Okay, so there's what? You're showing me 3 right there.
The only convict this guy has brought on the Joe Rogan Experience
3.
podcast.
Okay.
And I don't have to.
And so how many of them have killed somebody and chopped somebody up? Let's get down to it. You have a problem with ex-cons who have changed their lives and turned their lives around. You have a problem with them being a positive example on the Joe Rogan show, but you're talking about one guy. See, this is the problem. People like this, they want to have a knee-jerk reaction. Knee-jerk reactions don't solve a problem. They create another one. What are the solutions? I need to know a solution. You're talking about stuff, you know, and that's cool. It's your platform. That I get it, but you're not where is the solution to it? Is your solution that people who were criminals, who were gangsters, who were killers, that turned their lives around and are giving back to the community, being successful, being productive members of society, they should be silenced and stuck in a corner somewhere, probably jobless and homeless? I mean, what do you want? They shouldn't go on big platforms like Joe Rogan and share their success story. They shouldn't go back to their communities and be a perfect example to the youth on turning your life around and becoming successful. They shouldn't do that either, probably, right?
Agree with everything this guy does, but it doesn't mean we have to ignore how he pretty much enabled another murder, all in the name of his progressive ideologies. Because I do see some comments on Joe's YouTube clips calling out Rogan for platforming this previous and soon-to-be prisoner, but I honestly think it's good to hear from the other side, because it isn't hard to see that although Johnson's buddy is watching him speak with glee, it never really seemed like he had genuinely changed his mentality, and I think it's important for the masses to witness this firsthand, unfiltered in a long-form podcast format. And only then can you really start to generate your own opinion on the issues. My concern now is, even though Joe has just made it back on YouTube 7 days ago, he's already had Riley Gaines.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go into that. You know, shout out to Joe Rogan. I'm glad he took a chance, and he's taking a chance on other inmates. This dude, whatever he did, obviously, I mean, he's carrying the damn empty thing. He put something in there, supposedly. He's got a wig on. He's a dummy. The dude's a dummy. You know, he didn't learn his lesson, and now he's got the rest of his fucking life to figure something out, and it doesn't matter anymore. He will not be a member of society. Also, this guy that he killed, this was a prison beef. So the dude, the alleged attacker, was still involved in criminality, right? And so was his victim. Does it make it right? No. But it's somebody in that world. Somebody playing that game, and the game caught up to him. I don't justify violence. I don't justify murder. But I understand, you know, people that choose to live that life, they live by the sword, they die by it. They live by the gun, they die by it. This would have been a horrific story had he gone and killed an innocent person that had nothing to do with criminality, the criminal world, and nothing to do with this dude, right? That would have been horrific. This is not justifiable, and I'm not trying to justify his actions. He's a fucking idiot, and he deserves to be back in prison, and he will be for the rest of his life, however long that is. But these were two people of the same world. One guy was slipping. He must have owed, or he did something. That's their world. But to use this as a to take a shot at Joe Rogan and efforts to expose rehabilitated ex-convicts to the mainstream, I think it's a chicken shit video. I think this is a chicken shit video. Hopefully I don't get reported because of this, you know, but this is a reaction video and fair use, right? But you made your video, and hopefully you can, if you hear this, if you see this, you'll have a little understanding that, you know, you're talking about one dude, one bad apple, and kind of saying, like, don't put anybody like that. Don't put any successful people on there. People that have changed their lives and are great people now. Don't show any of them. Can't do that. There are people in these public servant professions that do shit like this and do worse stuff than this. Those people are trusted by a community, and they violate that trust, right? This dude right here wasn't who trusted him. The people in his life knew what he was, regardless of what he was on the show. People in his life, they knew what he was and who he was. He lived by the gun. He's gonna rot in hell for it now. He's gonna rot in jail, and he's gonna rot in hell, right? But I just ask that you don't shit on everybody else, and you don't shit on Joe Rogan's podcast for trying to shed light. I don't know. That's my video for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, do me a favor, share it with somebody you think would enjoy it as well. Hit the like button and leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this guy, what he had to say and what I had to say. Do you think I'm wrong, or do you not agree with me? And if you don't, let me know why. Everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them. I'm out.